Peace talks continue in Doha, but Israel has stepped up its military action in Gaza as it seeks to destroy Hamas. As ceasefire talks resume, Israel has launched a major, large-scale offensive across Gaza. Along with the ground assault, there have also been waves of airstrikes, which Palestinian officials say have killed at least 170 people. The attack has shut down northern Gaza's last functioning hospital. Strikes also hit the southern city of Khan Yunis and the Jabalia refugee camp. Heavy armour and other resources are being massed near border crossings.
IDF forces are entering with force into the Gaza Strip with a dual goal, defeating Hamas and freeing our hostages.
And just hours after the offensive started, Israel announced it would lift its 10-week aid blockade, but with conditions. Only a basic amount of food will be allowed in to ensure no starvation crisis develops. Dr Wajid Khan is an ICU specialist and volunteer with the Palestinian Australia-New Zealand Medical Association, who recently returned from Gaza. I spoke with him earlier. Dr Khan, are you still speaking to people in Gaza? And if so, what are they telling you?
Yep, so since I've come back now, I've been in continual contact with both the medical and nursing staff that I worked with at the Baptist Hospital. They describe sort of this ongoing nightmare, which is sort of never ending for them. And they sort of continually, question why they've been sort of subjected to sort of such barbaric conditions currently. When I was there, I was at the Baptist Hospital, and sort of 2 weeks after I left, that hospital got bombed. And since then, they've moved to another hospital in the north. And they talk about sort of conditions where, they're eating sort of one meal every sort of second or third day. That's usually sort of, maybe a bit of rice or some bread. And that's if you're lucky. And that was sort of up until last week. And sort of this week, many have sort of started to use animal feed as food. So they've described sort of very horrific conditions in which there's a lot of malnutrition happening in the northern Gaza. A lot of children are sort of not only coming to the hospital and dying from malnutrition, but also in the community. And this is on top of, the very minimal medical sort of supplies they have into sort of treating any sort of condition in the north of Gaza.
Well, you mentioned medical shortages. We now hear that the last remaining hospital in the north of Gaza has been bombed. What will that mean for the population there?
Essentially, there's going to be a lot of children and adults who end up dying because of no access to healthcare at all. When I was evacuated from the north to the south, it took us 6 hours to go from the northern Gaza to the south of Gaza because of the corridors, lack of fuel for cars. So essentially, what's going to happen is you're going to find that there are a lot of people who die because they're not able to sort of access any healthcare. And there's also little housing, schools, food, and now if you don't have any hospitals, a lot of people are going to be forced to move to the south.
And so just to be clear, there are hospitals still operating in the south. The difficulty will be getting people who need medical treatment to those hospitals before it's too late?
Yes, there's only 2 hospitals now that are sort of functioning in the south, and they're overwhelmed. So I don't think they would be able to, deal with or be able to cope with an influx from the north at all. But if there was a sick person in the north, it would be very challenging to come down the south due to lack of transport and lack of safety, but also, as I was saying, like a 15-minute car drive has turned into sort of a couple of hours drive if you've got that ability, just because of the various corridors that have been created.
This raises the question of aid, medicine, food, all of that. The Israeli Prime Minister has said now that he will, and these are his words, allow a basic amount of food into Gaza. I understand it's been quite a few weeks since you were there, but what was the food situation like when you left?
I sort of left approximately about 1 month after the siege had started, and already then the food situation was quite difficult. There was a marked reduction in the quantity of foods available. As international medical staff, we could only take 3 kilos of food, so it became dependent on the locals. And I've never seen the hospitality of anyone else, despite the Palestinians not having any sort of food. They still managed to help, come and bring foods without us asking. But already we saw immense amount of shortage and a lot of people already struggling at that time.
Dr Khan, thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.